Hello, hello.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Getting there.
Yeah,
But I'm getting there.
bit of a pickle.
What's that green shit on there, mate?
Uh,
Wasn't it supposed to keep going the other way?
the green stuff. Where's that? Oh,
That
this.
green candle.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what? It started so well.
Yeah, it
Tanking's
just
the
cannot
downside.
keep going.
Yeah, and then it's sort of easing back up again. I think with Mario Draghi out later on today, it will probably be one of those days where it's just going to grind its way forward. I'll probably take a long at some point. I think what is quite interesting about the FTSE is the fact that the longer term time frames, like the monthly, I'm still looking at this candle. I'd love a little shooting star up there. That would be absolutely brilliant. The weekly as well looks a little bit kind of tenuous. Yesterday, interesting bar in the end. Difficult to read too much from this bar. I still think it looks more bearish than anything else, but might need a further confirmatory bar to suggest whether we are going down. Certainly not a bar that I'd really want to buy today, but it might be the case that I have to if we get to, this further confidence. But as I say, I think the interesting factor here is that the FTSE is not is struggling to get back to its all-time highs. It's caught in this range, and I'm not sure what's going to take it forward. But if we compare that to the S&P, yet again the S&P makes fresh highs, record highs yesterday. Compare it to the Nasdaq, same things going on. Dow Jones Industrials doing just around about the same as well as the S&P and Nasdaq, but maybe just not quite as much confidence with that particular indice. So the FTSE's quite. It's a bit of a laggard in some respects. The Boris Johnson aspect wasn't necessarily good for it straight away. I mean, I don't think it was necessarily down to that yesterday, because the reason we seemed to get the absolute obliteration was that there were some banking earnings that came in much weaker than expected. But the US stock market is surging forward because of fantastic earnings, and the FTSE in the end will certainly follow the confidence, but not necessarily at the same velocity. Kakaron making all-time fresh highs. DAX is probably similar to the FTSE in some respects, where it's struggling a little bit. Still looks like there could be something of a head and shoulders pattern there.
I'll show you a few of those shortly.
You're going to show me a few of them. Yeah, well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, we appear to be at these levels where things could just drop out the sky.
Absolutely,
but
we're very close, I think.
Every single time that it looks like it's doing it, there's just not quite enough confidence to take us lower again. And I have to say, I feel like I made a little bit of an error yesterday, because I was looking at this FTSE 100 when it came down to this point, and I was seeing it put in this bar. This bar was filling me with a bit more hope, and then we put in this bar, and really at that point I should have been looking to go long again, but I didn't, and I left it, and I tried to go long in this area, but that sort of didn't really work out too well. But now even that area would have been okay to go long. The problem with going long here is that if it starts to come down again, it just looks a little bit high. And I always have a bit of an issue if I miss the first one, because oftentimes, not every time, but oftentimes when one mistake is made, and I think this is kind of something that used to happen to me in the past. It doesn't happen these days, because I tend not to take that second trade. But what would happen in the past is that if I made a mistake and missed the first trade, then that mistake could be compounded by just a catalogue of errors.
Yep, done that 100,000 times myself.
Yeah, and I guess it's just something that I learned over the years, is if you make a mistake, the best thing to do is walk away, and reassess maybe the next day, or well, usually the next day. Actually, it's usually worth just kind of getting out and allowing the charts just to develop, because it usually is compounded with further mistakes. So that's what I ended up doing, I didn't bother. You know, as I tried to get into this point, but it was looking a little bit sticky, so I closed that trade and then just walked away. But it looks like the first trade would have been okay in the end, and we've started to, you know, continue to grind to the upside. If I'm honest, what I was really looking for this morning was an add point to the downside. I was looking for, you know, to see whether, you know, there was a genuine trend. If this is, it's difficult to say whether this is structure because we are in this range here. But if this does kind of cause some internal structure, if you like, on a 4-hour chart, that looked like an area that that we might actually start getting stuck at again. And when I show you that area with a bit more context, then we look at these pivots, and it's really where the pivot sits. You know, it's around about that point. But I'll show you on the 4-hour first. So it's about this point here, and then when we bring that to the hourly, it's a bit easier to see. So you can see it's around about the pivot area.
Yep.
And I'm going to bring up a quick fib as well. Yeah, there's quite a lot there. You see 38% retracement. So let's have a look at what this bar looks like. And if the bar kind of ends up getting rejected, then there may be an opportunity to go short. The problem will now be that Mario Draghi coming out at I think 12:30 or 12:45, he's likely to say something that
there'll be that and the interest rate announcement first, then blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be accommodative. You know, you'd suspect there's going to be some sort of you know, accommodative language. So I don't think that there's going to be a short in the market until he's spoken, and you know, maybe he'll come out and say something that that suggests that we could go lower. But I think the only thing that I can really look for right now is a little bit of protection and look to see if I can get along, and maybe I'll look to see if I can get along at this point here or something. But yeah, it's confounding, mate. It's a very, very tiring market, this, because just when
making you work hard, man.
It really is, and just when it looks like things are turning around and it goes right, you know, it's going in the right direction, then it does this again. But you know, the other thing that I've learned over the years is that it's usually better to stick with the analysis that was previously done. It's usually better just to stick in there and see what happens, rather than just throwing the towel in and closing everything up. Because what can tend to happen, certainly in the past, is that everything's closed up, and then all of a sudden, you know, what I previously thought did work out. So so I'm sticking in there, mate. I'm you know, it's sapping a lot of energy, but I'm just sticking with it, and I guess it's just going to be one of those, isn't it? It's just you know, as you say, it's, I mean, in some respects, that's the job. That's the way that I trade, and the way that I trade. Sometimes it does create these moments where the work is just compounded by, you know, over a course of a few weeks. But when you think this has been going on almost 2 months now, it is quite jading.
Yeah, look, I actually thought we were off to the races yesterday, and of course I'm going the other way with pound, and I managed to get into the rally.
Oh, brilliant!
But same. Got to, well, not even where I thought it might get to, but I actually closed it at, I guess, a particularly good place, which was the weekly pivot, and now we're back below there as well. So again, a stall, if there is to be a reversal here.
Yeah,
back on hold.
Yeah, and there's a well, I guess this is what you're about to show me, isn't it? This inverted head and shoulders on the pound.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I'll pinch the screen, but it's not the only one, and this is why I'm thinking that there's something that's very, very close here. I'm starting to get a little bit like I don't want to leave the charts alone for too long, because I'm going to miss this. And it's not just the pound, as I said. I think there's a whole lot to be very, very aware of at the moment. And we'll start with the pound, of course. I'm on the 4-hour chart here, and you know, it couldn't be clearer, it couldn't be cleaner, to be fair. This inverted head and shoulders. And as I said to the guys yesterday morning, there's a good opportunity to trade this if you consider this is going to form a right shoulder. You could trade this right up to here if you wanted to. which is effectively the neckline. And I still think that's a potential.
Yeah.
But I have closed that trade. I've set another order in place above this bar here, just to catch this move. And if the neckline does break, then happy days. We'll get into the weekly trade if that's the case, and away we shall go. But as you say, it's it was so promising. As soon as we got through this weekly pivot and looked like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But no, we just couldn't get through maybe this level here. Maybe we'll have a crack today. I don't know, but it doesn't look like the early money is at least in favour of a pound US dollar rally.
No, do you know, I was just looking at the price action with the pound as well. I was quite surprised to see a rally in the pound after Boris Johnson took office, because the team that he's put around him, and maybe that's the thing, maybe that's why people are starting to sell the pound off. The team that he's put around him are very Brexit heavy. The likes of, I'll tell you what, somebody that's a fascinating appointment is this guy called David Lidington. Is that his name?
I don't know.
Oh gosh, I think that's his name. Let me just double check that, because I don't want to get this information wrong, because actually you do a lot worse to look into this guy. Let me just see if that's his name. David Lidington. Let me just see. No, that's not his name. It is. Tell you what. Let me have a look at the team. I'll tell you the team that Johnson has appointed. So we have. Stephen Barclay's not that interesting. Michael Gove has been appointed. He is Brexit heavy. Liz Truss, I think, International Secretary. I think she's pretty Brexit heavy. Andrea Ledsen's Brexit heavy. Jacob Rees-Mogg is the leader of the House of Commons. That's an interesting appointment. He's Brexit heavy as well. And there is another guy who is quite Brexit heavy. Who was that? I can't remember the guy's name now. Dominic Raab, Brexit heavy. Priti Patel, that was the one. She's really heavy, but that's not the guy I'm thinking of. The guy that I'm thinking of, I'm going to have to look into it, because he is a... let me see. So he's going to be... What was he? Boris Johnson's... Right, let's see. Dominic Cummings, that's the guy. Dominic Cummings, fascinating character. One of the biggest brains in politics, but quite almost like an evil genius. He is he masterminded Brexit effectively. He came up with the "Take Back Control" slogan, and he knows how to penetrate the electorate like nobody else. He's got an amazing record. He's a fascinating character, as I say. He is part of Boris's team, and now he is. I'm not sure whether he's necessarily Brexit heavy, because he's just a very, very calculated and brilliant man. It doesn't really matter what the job. He's a bit like a lawyer in a way, where it doesn't matter what the client has done. He will do everything he can to get that client off. So, and there's a movie that with the Benedict Cumberbatch, which he is in. It's all about the Brexit campaign, and he's in it. And you just get a taste and a flavour of what the guy, what kind of guy he is. Apparently incredibly divisive, to the point that a lot of the Conservative Party don't actually like him. So the fact that Boris Johnson's appointed him so closely could be a fascinating dynamic, as things go. But the key with this, bringing it back to trading, is that Boris Johnson appears to have gone fairly hard line, with his appointments. This guy is to a degree, he's fairly hard line, and Priti Patel is certainly pretty hard line. Dominic Raab was the negotiator for Brexit for Theresa May. You know, he's an ardent Brexiteer. So it surprised me when Boris came in that the pound rallied at all, but it's not really that surprising now to see the pound drifting back to the downside. I suppose the only surprising thing is that it's drifting rather than tanking.
It's gaining a little bit of momentum as we speak.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I mean, the announcements were made yesterday, and you know, I'm not sure when the announcements were made. What the effect on was with the pound, but yeah, the FTSE 100 was weakening while the pound was strengthening. I don't see how the pound could get this. This is what I was saying a few days ago, that what's going to be the driver for the pound, because I don't see how momentum is going to change until we get meat on the bones of what Boris Johnson's going to do that would calm investors down a little bit, and give the pound some strength, because it doesn't seem like the market likes Brexit. You know, it's got to be said. Well, it's not doesn't seem. It's obvious. It's you know.
I was actually going to say, before you go any further with that I thought he'd had I won't say a change of heart or change of mind, but maybe an easing of his we're going to get out of here, no deal. I thought there was a little bit, maybe, okay, we'll get out, but maybe there's room for something here that we need to pursue.
Oh yeah, I mean, he wants a deal. He does want a deal. I think the thing with Boris Johnson is that he wants a deal, but if he doesn't get a deal, then he will leave the EU. But this is
around. It's going to happen.
This is the thing, and this is the difference with him and Theresa May, and this is the fascinating almost paradox with Boris Johnson. He's incredibly clumsy. You know, he's already kind of said what the Queen said to him, which is completely, that's not protocol. You don't tell people what the Queen said. He's incredibly clumsy. He's a little bit of a joker. He's a bit of a buffoon. He puts his foot in it. He doesn't. He's not very PC. And some of his ideas are just so ridiculous and wild. But the thing that he does, which, as I say, Theresa May wasn't very good at, is that he puts together the best possible team, and he makes sure that team are effectively loyal to him, and they are loyal to him. You know, most of these politicians are loyal to him, and he makes sure that they are brilliant people. So he does the classic, being the business owner that puts together the people that are much cleverer than he is, because he knows that he's not looking for people to be, if he's running his business, he doesn't want effectively to run his business. He wants to guide it through the waters, but he wants to make sure that the most brilliant minds around are effectively doing the job that they're the best at. So he shows a bit of humility, I suppose, in that way, which is something that Theresa May never did. You know, Theresa May was almost like, it's my way or the highway. But with Boris, is a little bit different when he's got these team. He does have respect for people, and that seems to be I think indicated with his team. And what I think will happen with this, certainly with Dominic Cummings, is that they will put together a Brexit strategy. They will put together an idea of what they believe Brexit should look like. So when they go to the EU, where the EU think that they're going to be dealing with this complete buffoon who doesn't know and doesn't have a plan, he will have a plan. I guarantee he will have a plan. It won't necessarily be his plan, but in the end it will be his plan, but it won't necessarily completely masterminded by him, but it will be masterminded by the most brilliant minds in the political spectrum, and he will go and he will look to push his plan through, and if his plan doesn't work, then he will bring us out. That will be his stance. But what he will have, as I say, is a definite idea of what the EU should be offering. And it won't necessarily be unfair. It will probably be much more slanted in the UK's favour, but it will be a much more defined position. And it's going to be down to the EU then to say, we will stay. united or we won't. And where they got a bit of an easy ride, really, when Theresa May was in power, because when Theresa May was in power, there was so much weakness around her government, and there is around Boris for right now, to be fair, but there was so much weakness around her government that that they knew that they could pull her every which way, and she'd have to take it. Boris Johnson won't take it. You know, there might be a general election called, or something else. So he will do everything in his power to make sure that he has the mandate. But I think more significantly, that mandate, or whatever he goes there with, will be much more defined. So I think we are going to see a different style, and I think we might see a different stance from the EU, because if anybody can rattle their feathers and maybe get them a bit more concerned that we really will be leaving, and they will be affected by that. Okay, we'll be, you know, that the UK will be affected too, and everybody knows that. But the EU will be affected by that. So given that, maybe they'll start softening their stance a little bit from where they currently sit.
Okay. Well, the one thing that's clear is nothing's clear.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. But you're absolutely right, and I think what it might come down to is that that it might be a report or a review that that comes out from the negotiations, the first round of negotiations, that could actually start to see that the pound move forward a little bit. But otherwise, from this particular point, I don't know what is going to take the pound where we need to see it be to show that it's turning around at this particular point.
Yep. Apart from, I suppose, maybe there's people who have been selling the pound since here, starting to think, okay, maybe it's time to take some profit.
Yeah, which is interesting, isn't it? Because that's where I have been with the FTSE for quite a while. You know, maybe it's a bit of profit taking time, but I suppose this is where you end up kind of getting caught out, isn't it? Because just when you think that it must be the most, a good time for that to happen, then people just pile in again. And I suppose maybe people, well, obviously people are taking profit, which is why it eases back in the opposite direction. But
Yes.
But when they are taking profit, they're probably thinking maybe it's now too early. Let's get back in again. I don't know, but
up again. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know either. All I can do is judge what I see, and what I see is again what I saw and have been seeing. But I've been seeing it for a while. I saw it here, double bottom, higher low, didn't happen. Double bottom, higher low, didn't happen. Well, it kind of did, but it went sideways. That's where I got a bit of profit. But then again, double bottom, higher low, traded that one, and I'm trading that one again this week. But my stops moved, of course, and I still think, from a technical point of view, that's a valid scenario. It's early. It's very early. There's no question about that. But that's what I've always said. So if we can catch this early on a very small risk basis, then if it does go, we can just build that. If it is going to go, if it actually is going to reverse, it's going to reverse a long way. If it's not, it's not. It's simple as that. But if it is, then it'd be nice to get in early and just build a position as it grows. That's my position on pound. I still think, no matter what. Well, no, there's not really no matter what. It's entirely possible that the pound and the UK, I guess, as a result of this disharmony, I'll call it disharmony, it's entirely possible that there is no resurgence, that we just simply see a new struggling Great Britain. Maybe,
yeah, absolutely, mate. And I suppose that's the possible reason that people have got some sort of confidence with the pound, any kind of confidence with the pound, because they don't believe that can happen, but of course it can.
Well, it's entirely possible.
You know, they don't believe that they don't believe that the UK will sink. You know, they sort of. I suppose.
And I'm in that band. You know?
It's a strange thing, though, isn't it? Because I suppose you have to ask the reason why. Why can't it sink? And the other thing is that I suppose because we're not that far from. You know, colonial Britain, where you know it ruled the waves, Britannia ruled the waves. People have still got this. You know, the UK's got this positive hangover, if you like,
it's been a
about it.
long hangover, and that's long gone. You know, hasn't
Yeah,
it, really?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, the market is
yes,
now
it can
open.
happen.
What's that, mate?
So yes, it can happen. There's absolutely no question, and it's never been more vulnerable in its entire history, as far as I'm aware.
No.
In economic terms, that is.
Yeah.
And we're right on the precipice. We really are right on the precipice. This could absolutely tinker and go really bad. But anyway, let's not talk that. Okay, you've got an open market. What do you? Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Yeah. Positive looking start anyway. So let's see how the first 15 minutes goes. And see if we can push right back to the downside. That'd be kind of fun. And what would be lovely about that is it will actually verify the fact of not compounding a mistake. You know, because
look how that's turned around, and I'm looking at the pound. It's doing exactly the same in reverse.
Yeah.
Look how that's turned around in the last 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, well, it's literally just opened. I think not even the last 10, 15 minutes, mate. I think we're talking about literally 3 minutes.
No, well, see, prior to that, you've got that bull bar that reversed, and
I've
got the same thing. I've got the same thing on the pound. It's just looking like it was heading lower very, very rapidly, and that's turned around in an instant, basically.
Yes, it has in a heartbeat, hasn't it? Strange times, mate.
The market prior to now, prior to London Open, has been incredibly indecisive. They've got no idea.
No, and I, you know, I think this is the thing with them, and this is what I'm saying about the FTSE. Is like it's a completely different beast to all this stuff with America, and I don't know whether the FTSE is you know, starting to lead, and we are, you know, actually about to hit.
Everyone's looking for a lead. Everyone's looking for a reason, and they're not there.
Well, do you know that this is the thing? So this is what's been going on. Just to kind of like fill the listeners in a little bit, if you're not aware. So overnight, there's so many things happened yesterday. Actually, Facebook posted, you know, incredibly good profits, so that helped the Nasdaq push forward. We had.
I was told to buy Facebook a month ago. I want to look at that later.
Yeah. Well, let's have a quick look. I'm not sure. So that was a month ago you were told to buy it. So let me see what we've got here. I'm guessing the Facebook must.
Facebook chart?
I might well do. Let me just have a look. I think so.
But I'm some other broker. I've got to open that chart.
Yes, I do. Here we go. This is Facebook. So a month ago. So back in June.
Yeah, it was about from memory 102. Would that be right?
182 maybe. 102 would have been back.
Oh, no. 192. There was a 2 in it, definitely.
192. So it's up. What, 5% since that particular point?
Well, there you go. Not the end of the world.
Not the end of the world. Still, yeah. But so anyway, decent profits from Facebook overnight. So that helped the S&P continue to drive forward. It helped the Nasdaq also drive itself forward as well. So yeah, Facebook. I can't really do anything here, mate. I don't know. You probably can't see my chart, but you know, this is where my add point was going to be. But I just don't have a bar to get in on. But that's fine. You know, if adding is the worst thing that I'm doing, missing out on, then I don't really mind that. So we had Facebook helping the S&P and the Nasdaq continue to make those highs, along with others as well with the S&P. I know it's not on the S&P. We also had the indictment, the Russian scandal going on again in the United States. So so that kind of helped, push things forward as well. But also we've had North Korea apparently firing missiles into near Japan. Japan says it's not a major threat right now, but that was going on. The United States have.
Is that it again, eh?
Yeah, quite possibly he's at it again. The States have been sailing a ship down in where was it now? It was somewhere in Asia. But that wasn't particularly helpful for the relationship with China, and of course Taiwan. So it's down the Strait of Taiwan ahead of trade talks with China. Yesterday we had Germany, showing some pretty dire numbers as well. So there are things going on that I suppose could take the market in either direction. But as I said earlier on, I just find that this FTSE 100 very, very interesting. Does it become the leading light, and is it the market that actually we see going first? As I said before, a friend, the guy that taught me always said to me that the FTSE is almost a preceding indicator. And when you look at these markets, when I look at these markets, to get a really good sense of where they're going, I kind of want them all going at the same time, all going in the same direction at the same time. I want the Nasdaq rising. I want the Dow going up. I want the S&P going up. I want the FTSE going up. The CAC are on, the DAX. And as you got worldwide economic growth, when it comes down to stocks and shares, that's what I'm after. Yes. And because the FTSE's been, it's been a laggard. It's been weak. I mean, the UK manufacturing has been poor. Earnings season in America has been pretty stellar, but in the UK it hasn't. European markets haven't been particularly good either. And it's not being an economist and not being kind of I've got my my foundation of knowledge, but when it comes down to really understanding why these specific fundamentals, or what the fundamentals are that people are focusing on from one day to the next, it can get very, very difficult and very, very confusing. So I don't really have the answers when it comes down to that, mate. But what I do know is that the FTSE chart is certainly under stress. It's showing signs of weakness, and it is under stress.
Yeah. You know what? I was actually thinking about this long and hard today, and when I had a look at the charts this morning, and I saw all of these potential reversal situations, I had a good think about it, and I thought, you know what? What's really changed is not a lot. It's just time. Time has changed, and when I look at the charts, I see these very, very slow but deliberate building chart patterns. And the one I've already shown you on pound US dollar is one. I think we're still on my chart, so I'll go on with that. Unless you want to do some more with the FTSE.
No, mate, no. Just fascinating to see an actually, a genuine explosion, isn't it? Whenever we have an explosion in a morning, yesterday was not hugely different, but same thing's going on today.
Cool. Let's hope it continues.
Yes, let's.
Okay, so I'm now with the euro, and the euro over all this time, you remember, it's months ago now. It must be back in, I don't know how long we've been doing this show, don't know, but it's months ago now that I pointed out this to you on euro dollar.
Yeah, I remember, mate. Yeah.
And for the life of me, we are still in that channel. We're still in that range. We've had a little one build since. And I have got absolutely no idea why I haven't traded this. And I said this to the guys yesterday and today. This is a weekly chart, of course, but it's a clear, absolute clear false break at the top of a range here of the top of this channel. And why I'm not in this, I've got no idea, but I'm not.
So would that your trigger bar would have been that the very last white bar there, right?
That one. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And an entry at the low of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So already beyond 1-to-1 and down at take profit level, which of course is the bottom of this range, and the bottom of the channel as such. Now,
and do you know what I see when you're looking at that, and you've probably noticed it well. If you were to flip that to a daily chart, it's the head and shoulders, isn't it? Which is what you were trading.
That's right.
Yeah.
And exactly my point. And that's exactly what I said this morning. It's amazing what's going on. We're seeing a very, very slow but deliberate and defined set of chart patterns coming up. Now, I guess countering this head and shoulders, and that's a very big shoulder, of course, is now we've got a triple bottom, if not a quadruple bottom coming up maybe. So this is a very, very important and key level for euro dollar right now, right today, right now where we are. And if that were to break, then let's go back to the weekly chart. If this horizontal level is to break, then we're down here suddenly, in my book anyway, around about the 109 area. And then we can start looking for potentially a retest of that bottom of that channel or re-entry. But yeah, we're at a crucial level on euro dollar today, in my opinion. So whatever Draghi does say, and I don't think there's any suggestion that really we're not really going to negative interest rates, are we? That's not going to happen, is it?
I
know that I read an article the other day that suggested that may well be the case.
Yeah.
I took it with a grain of salt, frankly. I can't see that happening, and nobody's tipping that to the best of my knowledge. But I don't think that's going to happen today. But if it were, then we won't be here tomorrow. That's for sure. We'll be here, and very quickly. But if that doesn't happen, as expected, and Draghi is he can he even be upbeat in any way? I'm not sure he can, but if there's any hint that he can drive this back to here, then that's going to be a reasonable position to take, because we are at the bottom of this longer term channel. So the head and shoulders that we just spoke about, this one here, is now right at a crucial point. It's broken the neckline, hasn't come back to test it. I can't pick a direction from here. It's 50-50 for mine. And whatever happens, it's going to go a fair distance. So I'm very, very keen to find out what happens next. But I think the trump for me is not the head and shoulders so much, because I think, at the end of the day, that's probably played out. It's done. It's only a little fella, and it's come down to here. Pardon me. I'm favouring a rally now, back to here, because this is such a crucial level, as I pointed out. So I'm a little bit bullish today, the euro, not massive, but I'm a little bit bullish, which I guess ties in with euro pound. Now you have a look at euro pound. What do we see on our chart? This is the 4-hour chart. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, absolutely clear. Neckline broken, no retest. And I'm so pissed off that I'm not still in this. I tightened I got into this market, I think around about here somewhere. No, it must have been higher than that. Around about here. Got TP1, that's all I got. And foolishly, my stops were up here, and I tightened them down to here. You idiot. And I've missed out on all that, sadly.
On the euro, which one's that, sorry?
Euro pound, the one I've been bursting to get into.
Yeah.
And I got in here, and everything was good down to here. Took my TP1, moved my stops to just above the swing.
Yeah.
And look what happened. You prick. So instead of having my stops up here where they were,
Yeah.
I don't know. I must have been on some tablet or something. I
Yeah.
moved my stop down to here. Bloody idiot. So anyway, I've missed out on that, which is really sad. I'd really like this to come back to here and retest the neckline so I can actually get back into this. But
Yeah.
I don't know that that's going to happen. I really don't. And it will
Yeah.
depend a lot on what I've just spoken about. It'll depend on what happens with the euro here, and a lot's going to depend on what Draghi says today.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely right, mate. And I think the speculation has to be for downside euro, but this may well create some opportunities. As you say, you need this to come back, but if that drifts back into that neckline, then there's a trade. There's a trade there, isn't there? And
You bet there is.
I'll probably be on top of that myself, actually, if that was to happen. I mean, I'm not necessarily looking for pound strength wholesale, but if the pound's holding up against the dollar, and Mario Draghi's about to come out and say that they're going to be easing back the interest rates, or having further fiscal stimulus, don't need any other reason, do you, to try and
No, you don't.
find a shorts in the pound, and what a great pair to trade in that case, if that's the long and the short of it, is that we get some pound strength off the back of Boris or wherever it is, and Draghi's going to come out. Then that's the combination. It's not euro dollar. It's not CAD, euro CAD or euro Aussie. It's got to be about the pound.
Yep, this is the baby, and we've been sweating on it for a long, long time. As we've just kept commenting and saying, "Wow, this has got to win. This has got to win. This has got to win." But even on the daily chart, it's pretty clear that Head and Shoulders is standing up right now. But the retest is crucial for me to get into this. That's the issue. So very much all over that one. And it just continues the theme that we've got. It's exactly the same on the Aussie, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. It's a little bit Quasimodo, I know, but again, we've had a break and no retest of a neckline, which is interesting. Is it compelling? Is another question. You could have a look at this. Let's even do that. If you have a look at that on a Fibo basis, we're at a nice place to get this retracement. But we do have a lower low. We haven't got a lower high here. Well, no, we don't. We haven't got a lower high yet. So that's what I'd be thinking. Get up here somewhere maybe and find a short on the Aussie. Again, go to Aussie CAD. Here we've got, you might say, okay, we're bouncing off the monthly pivot, and we put in a double top here, and down we come. But really, if you have a look at this in a bigger picture, what you should be seeing is a left shoulder here, a head here, and we're building a right shoulder. This, I think, of all the Aussie pairs that I've been looking at, is a classic. This is primed to go right now. I'm just looking for a reversal bar anywhere here at this point, and I'm ready to trade this long.
Oh, I mean, interesting overnight as well, where Governor Lowe was coming out and indicating quite heavily that there would be an interest rate easing coming up. So we may well see some Aussie weakness over the next few sessions.
Another one?
Yeah, apparently so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
I mean, it might turn in, that may be a Head and Shoulders within a Head and Shoulders in some, within an inverted Head and Shoulders, if you like. So we might actually trade right back up
to here.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Which would be interesting.
I'm not counting on that. I'm counting on this reversing. I think this is primed to go. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's simple as that. But it's continuing the theme that I'm going with, and the theme I'm going with is a lot of these pairs are at potential reversal places. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. This is Aussie Kiwi. Again, it's just a continuing theme. Everything looks to be in position and ready to go. This one's a little bit more protracted, and I think that's where I started the argument. This is the 4-hour chart. Look how long this has taken to form this left shoulder and how long this has taken to form a head, and how long it's now taken to form a right shoulder. Obviously, if we go to the bigger time frames, we can see it more clearly. The daily and the weekly.
Oh yeah, that's a classic, isn't it? Because it's right at the low of the trend as well.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, it's a beauty.
I think I favour the daily chart more than anything, but it couldn't be clearer. You know that things are poised. I'm not saying they're going to, but I'm saying they're poised to see reversals on many spheres.
I mean, this is the other thing as well, mate. Do you know that the other thing that that interests me is the fact that we've got, you know, all this kind of speculation of lower interest rates from the likes of Draghi and now Governor Lowe, and Carney intimated that may well be the case as well fairly soon. So when it comes down to it, you kind of go, well, the Fed lowering interest rates, what's that going to do? Because if everybody else is devaluing their currency, actually, all these other currencies are doing is getting out in front. You know, the Fed loosened their policy, so everybody else loosens their policy, but just slightly before it. You know, because they know it's coming. So what benefit is that going to have for the dollar when it comes down to the worldwide market? So, you know, the Fed lowering interest rates may have no effect whatsoever in the end.
Well, I think that's probably why there's speculation that they won't go in little bits; they'll go in chunks. Rather than 25, they'll go 50. I think that's why there's speculation about that. But the balancing act there is the economy in America doesn't point to lowering interest rates.
It doesn't warrant it, does it?
No, and that's the dilemma that the Fed face, of course.
Yeah.
So I've got. I mean, I'm not even going to speculate on what they're going to do. They can do whatever they want to do, but they'll have pressure from Donald Trump. They'll have pressure from the now widening gap between the other interest rates and their own interest rates. So they have got to cut in that regard.
Yeah.
So otherwise, everything that comes out of America is just too dear. You know, their balance of trade is ridiculous.
Yeah, which is the point I guess I'm making is it's not going to change the value of goods from America if everybody else is basically doing the same thing.
Yep, exactly right. So yeah, I don't know. I've never been in this position where I've had to think about the absolute, you know, dynamics of the economy have never been so, I guess, important, to be fair.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not right there, but yeah, to me it seems that we're at an incredibly different part of history, and I suppose that's brought on largely by the fact that we now are a global economy.
Yeah.
Rather than prior, you know, you had trading partners, always have, of course, but that used to happen by pigeon carrier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's instant, and you know, transactions happen in milliseconds every single day, and every single minute, every single hour of the day.
Yeah.
So you know, it's a whole new ball game, and it has been for quite some time. I don't know how to read it. I certainly don't. I guess the only thing I can do is follow it.
Yeah. Well, the FTSE is now easing back to the upside, but I just had a quick check on some of the world markets, and or certainly the European markets, and the Eurostoxx 50. Also, kind of, you know, it looks like it's easing a little bit. It's attempting to create a 4-hour shooting star, which could be interesting. Same on the CAC. The DAX is similar, where it's kind of created a gap to the upside, which has instantly been filled, and may also you know, struggle. So where I was looking to potentially protect a little bit, now I'm kind of back in the mindset that I'd actually quite like to add. I'd like to add to this short. So it's not going to happen just yet. And as I say, I wonder whether we're probably likely to be waiting for Draghi anyway before any real trading can be done today on direction. But in saying that, if I get a decent setup in this area right now, then I'm gonna take another short here, mate, and see if I can actually add to my position.
Cool. I'm not going to do too much. I don't think. I've got the pound long, and not on this account. I've got. What else have I got? I've got a couple of other trades that are just non-related to here. I've got Euro Kiwi. I've got. How's that going? Yeah, I'm long Euro Kiwi. That's in profit. It's got nothing to do with my strategy. It's just a crazy Jeff trade. I'm waiting on Euro Pound. I really want to get back into that. I'm kind of pissed with myself that I'm not in it, as you've probably gathered.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not still in it. Aussie. Yeah, look, I'm pretty keen to look for longs on the Aussie here at the monthly pivot, and I've said that all week pretty much. Wait for this, because I think there's a potentially good trade here, and the reason is this. The structure here is telling me that we're either going to bounce from here or we're going to bounce from here. So I think this is the place for me to start looking for longs, and if it doesn't go long, then kind of double up when it gets to here or double down when it gets to here. Of course, it could break, and if that's the case, and that's the way I trade, I'll be looking for a bounce and go. I won't be looking for, okay, hit the level and trade it. That's not the way I trade. So here, yes, monthly pivot, we're getting pretty close to that on the bull from there, and I'll go in light. But if we have to trade it from here, then so be it. Better price even. Getting me back to structures, and again, this Aussie CAD is really, really interesting. I do like it. I think this has taken. Hello, darling.
Hold on, she won't be here just yet. Right here.
Hello, sweetheart. Hello. You're not talking to me today.
She gets all shy.
Who's that, Wally? How is she, mate? Yeah. She's better. She's sleeping.
Yeah. Now kind of back to normal. Which is not too bad. She's off to see her cousin today, just to see if I can have a little bit of a stretch where I can find it a little bit easier to focus.
Nice.
So yeah,
I got to Aussie CAD, and again, this classic potential reversal pattern sits.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting for that to give me an opportunity as well. I don't think there's really any need to go through the 30-minute charts. If you know what's going on here, you can see what's going on. We're hurting in the other direction. We need to see something before we go.
I was going to say, mate, I suppose with Australia coming out and saying what they have said, and with America potentially lowering those interest rates, Europe potentially lowering interest rates or going to negative, doing whatever, then you have to question, will the CAD also follow suit at some point?
Again, probably no reason to do so other than to keep pace. But
because that's surely what will help that trade, wouldn't it? I mean, you kind of need the CAD to say something, somebody from Canada to say something similar.
And I've said, for the last few months, and that's why we're seeing this sort of price action, that the CAD had absolutely no reason to not be the strongest currency on the platform.
Yeah,
because all the numbers were good. Everything was good. Oil was going up, and there was absolutely no reason for the CAD not to be the strongest on the chart. For whatever reason, it is now retraced. The CAD, that is, versus a whole bunch of currency pairs.
Well, is that down to is that maybe down to oil?
There's oil. That's what we've been seeing. So I don't know where oil's going, and I've got this weird thing going on in my head that says oil should not be falling; it should be rising. That's I guess to do with the oil tankers being held up and imprisoned and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But we're not seeing that, and why, I don't know.
Well, maybe it's funny, isn't it? Because we seem to be reacting and trading on everything. Things are just so much more short term now than they ever were before. There probably is going to be an opportunity to go long in oil at some point. But things calm down for a day or so people, they're quite happy to kind of ease back on their positions.
Yeah, look, the market structure is a little bit confusing, I'd have to say. I got a funny feeling that's a nice retracement there, probably 50 by the look of it on a Fibbo, even 61.8. And then you turn that upside down and pull it from the opposite direction. Maybe that one, or either one, you could use either one. And you've got a pretty decent 61.8 retracement there as well. And then you can pull it from here, wherever you want to go. The weird thing is, and I think we started to speak about this earlier before, we're not getting 100% of anything.
No.
We're getting a retracement off this, we're getting retracement off that, it's all over the place. So the structures are there, as I said before, but they're compressed. They're mini structures, if you like.
Yeah.
I guess if we can play those, then okay, why not? What's the problem?
Yeah.
Just be aware that you need to get off and take some profit. That's all.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Which I think I found certainly with the FTSE over the last few, really all year in some respects. If you kind of if you're going to be trading this in a specific way, don't really expect to be given a longer term view and for it to play out, nice and cleanly. The certainly with the FTSE is much more likely to be clean if it breaks down. If it comes down, I think it comes down clean. It comes down hard. But because we've got this, and I suppose that's the difficult thing. We've got a really tricky grind to the upside, and the grind to the upside could stall at any point. And I think everybody knows that if this stalls, the likelihood is the next direction will be down, and it will probably be down hard. And in the same way that you're kind of like seeing with the pound, we don't want to miss out.
Yeah, same thing. Exactly right.
Yeah.
And the reason is not so much the FOMO thing in terms of scared of missing out. It's a point that this is a superb opportunity to get in early on something that could be massive. That's the driving force with me.
Yeah. Same, mate. Yeah, I've got the same thing going on.
And the first leg, unlike most legs, in my opinion, when it does go, if it does go, will be substantial. And I'm not talking 50 pips. I'm not talking 100 pips. I'm talking a few hundred pips.
Yeah.
And I don't want to miss those. There'll be a retracement on that, of course, but I don't think it'll be anywhere near 100% retracement. You might get a 21%, you might get a 32% retracement on it, but that initial burst, once it goes, I think will be absolutely substantial.
I think you're right. Just looking at that chart right the way back from July, actually the start of July, it's just been a mess, isn't it? You make a kind of higher high, a higher low, the trend goes nowhere. It tanks to the downside. It whooshes back to the upside. It grinds to the downside. It's kind of doing something a bit weird right now as well, where it can't really decide what direction it's going in. But the chart has been, as I say, since the start of July, just a mess. It's just a hideous looking chart.
And there's plenty of them.
Mm.
But as I said before, bigger picture stuff, they are starting to give me very strong signals that there's a potential change. And if I was only seeing it on one chart, I don't think I'd comment about it, but I'm not. I'm seeing it on lots of charts.
Yeah.
So something's going to happen. When?
Yeah.
Don't know.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's trying to get the timing and how to protect yourself while getting the time is the key. Because the problem is, there's going to be a huge trade, as you say, on this one. But you could get ground down just because you're kind of constantly getting in, getting out, getting in, getting out, getting,
Absolutely.
taking a trade, getting stopped, but there is a strategy to follow with this, and I suspect it's probably on longer term time frames. Looking at the dailies and seeing if there's an opportunity on that. Because I wouldn't be surprised at all if we start to see some positioning now in the pound as people look for that October date with some shorter term and longer term strategies, as part of the same trade, if you like. Looking at something longer term, which is to go long, but then also playing some of these shorter term fluctuations.
Yeah, the market's not going to wait till October 30th to position itself. That's for sure.
No.
It will start happening probably now that Johnson's in. I dare say there will be some bigger traders, if you like, jumping into a position, thinking that, okay, October 31's coming. We know what's going to happen. How is that going to affect pound, FTSE, whatever? We're going to take a position on that, and those positions won't be small positions, and they will move the market.
I totally agree.
And, that's why I'm red alert.
Yeah. Well, I'm really in a position. I don't know what else we got to do now, but I'm in a position where I want to close this down until Mario Draghi. I see some price action. I'll show you what's happened really with the FTSE and my thoughts on it at this particular time. Unless have you still got more to do there, mate?
No, mate, no.
Okay, so this is the FTSE. We bombed to the downside. We've managed
screen,
to.
Mate.
Have I got it there? No. Have I got it now?
Yep.
Yeah. So we bombed to the downside. We've managed to kind of recover pretty much the losses that were seen in the first 15 minutes, and I'll bring this on a 15-minute chart. We're just attempting to get back above the pivots right now. I'm still looking for the short here. I think that there's some glaring indicators which suggest the short, but by the same token, the fundamentals don't really suggest that there's going to be too much in the way of certainty until we get some Draghi out today. So I am looking at, let's bring in Forex Factory and see what we have. So even a weaker looking bar may see us drift to the downside, but I'm okay with any downside. I don't mind missing something in the first instance. What may well happen is that we start to grind a little bit higher. But what might just as well happen is that it just goes a bit quiet. So this was Governor Lowe speaking earlier on about potentially reducing interest rates. We just had Spanish unemployment increasing to 14%. German IFO business climate is out at 9 a.m., which is in around about 20 minutes. CBI from the UK, but this is the big data, and this is suggesting to me that it might be worth waiting till 1 o'clock before really looking at any trades. We've got the monetary policy statement and then the ECB press conference. So core durable goods orders as well from the United States at 1:30 may see things turn around, but it might end up being a positive day in the end, just because Draghi has a tendency at this particular time to put a positive spin on things, and talking about easing will only probably be seen as a good thing for the market. And it seems every time the States opens, we get further upside. So at this particular stage, the looking for downside isn't an option. And where I would have been okay to take a trade down here, I didn't really like the price. Maybe I could have taken that one on board, but really, if I'm going to be taking a long, I kind of want it a little bit lower down. I probably should have taken that one actually, but that was a bit hairy. So let's see what happens. What I'd quite like to see is just a little bit of nothing right up until 12:45, just so I can get Draghi out and see if he can give me some sense of direction. and with any fortune, that the price will be down here by the time Draghi's out, so I can either look to go long, or if the market starts to break down, then I'm quite happy to swiftly add. I don't really like trading breakouts, but because we're so toppy up here, I just need a driver, and if that driver ends up being Draghi, then I will take the shorts at the lows. So I'm probably gonna have to sit on my hands, really, mate, for the next few hours.
All right, mate, nothing wrong with that. I don't have a whole lot to add to what I have already said. I'll just quickly go through the majors, and I'm pretty much done at that point, I think.
Okie dokie.
All right, cable, as I said, I'm in a long here, would like that to continue, but the price action here thus far today is hideous. There's absolutely nothing here to like about what I'm seeing. And I think the market is absolute no idea, or as you say, just waiting for something to happen. Maybe Draghi does something to this. It tends to react once he's spoken, but we'll see. I've no intention of trading here at this point, that's for sure. Euro is getting to a point where I'm getting a little bit keen, and the reason for that, of course, is I'm at the bottom of the range. And this is the tail of the tape today for me. So I'll be looking for a bounce here.
Yeah, this is the thing as well, isn't it? Again, if Draghi comes out and says something which is not as positive for stocks as everybody hopes, then the euro is going to strengthen.
Yeah, look, technically it's there, but as you said, trading right now, not knowing what he's going to say, is pretty tough. This break here was substantial. There's no question about that, because what it did, it took out the bullish trend, if you like. Absolutely disintegrated at that point. But now we're at a crucial level, and if that level holds, then we're off back to here, in my opinion, for pretty much sure. If it doesn't hold, then we're in a little bit of trouble. 108s and 109s are calling down here for the euro. So today's a very, very interesting time. But if you're following this line, as we have for months and months, it's had one little false break in all of that time. I don't think it's going to break now, but a lot will depend, as we've said, on what Draghi's got to say. I'll go euro pound, and I'll go the Aussie, and that'll do me. Euro pound, I'm desperate for a retracement here of some kind. This doesn't look like that to me. This looks like zero retracement, to be fair. And if I can find a reason to find a short here, I think that's what I'll be looking to do. How that's going to happen, I really have no idea at this point. Maybe we break, hit the daily pivot, find the resistance, get back underneath here, underneath the confluence, retest monthly pivot and the trend line. Away we go. That might be the way to get into that for me. I will see. And finally, the Aussie. I said as soon as we hit the monthly pivot, I am a bull, and that will remain the case. There may be, however, another case, and that case may well be for price to go down to this level, and I'm prepared for both of those scenarios. If I get the signal here that this is going to bounce, then I will trade it, but it will be at less risk than if I were to see a bounce potential here. I'd load up at this point, but at this point I'll just go in at relatively small risk. But I am.
Sorry, mate. I am going to place an order here.
Right, mate.
And I'm going to place an order under this bar here. Hold on 1 second. Let me just take this screen. One second. I'm going to take an order short. Now, the thing to do with this is get the stops. Get the stops at the highs of this area here. So we're looking at 74.50, which is probably going to be around about 75.15 on. Actually, let's make sure this price is correct here. Might be 74.49. 50. Yeah, let's take it as 74.50 49. Oh, actually,
Won't be long, buddy. The dog's dolphining me.
he's keen, is he?
Oh yeah, he's hungry. Good to go. That's your bud.
Okay. Okay, you won't see this appear on my chart because I don't like the lines on there. But I'm going at the 74.49, placing that down. The current price is at 49.75, so that's there. So let's say we get taken into that one. Now I wasn't going to trade that, but I do quite like the setup there. I haven't put a stop in place yet, but the stop will be just above this bar here. Now, if you are trading this, I'm just got to check one thing here. 75, so that'd be 75. 14.5. 75, 14, 50 is probably what you're looking at on a UK 100. So if you're trading with IFS, then you want it at 75, 14, 50, which I'm going to quickly do as well. If I get the chance. So I'll stop. Uh, 75. 4. 4.50. So that's what it will look like on everybody else. Is 75 14.50.
That's an entry.
That's the entry. It's a sell stop. Yep. Yeah, that's the entry. So we'll see what gives there. Now, if I don't get follow through straight away off the back of this bar, then I will close that. So it's only a 15-minute bar. But if we don't instantly see this break to the downside, then I will be closing this trade, because it would seem that that the market may well want to drive itself a little bit further forward. Now you want to put stops at the highs. Now the stops at the highs of the UK 100 bar will be 36.80. You want to maybe add 3 on that. So put it at 75.40. I think would be a fair place for those stops. So you're looking for around about 25 pips, and then see what happens. But
Sure.
but it's a difficult one, and also get those stops to break even as soon as possible. So if it starts to break to the downside, consider trying to move those stops. What I'm really trying to do is ride something here rather than look at this as a long-term view. And the reason for that is that we do have Draghi, we do have a little bit uncertainty out there, and this may well turn around just as fast as it goes down. So got to be very, very careful and a little bit more cautious here.
Or put you on the springboard, mate. Could go either way, of course.
Yes, it could. Yes, it could. Yeah. So you got to be a little bit more careful. The thing with this is, the other thing about this is that you want it to close down here. Now, if it closes down here, that's going to be actually very, very positive. So at 74.27, it's going to start looking really attractive. And the reason for that, if we mark that price off, in fact, it's marked off already. But if we flip our chart, let me bring this in so it's cleaner. 74.27 on a clean chart is going to be there. Now, the reason that that's going to look really positive is that in the next 10 minutes is that this will then be the 4-hour bar, and that will be an incredibly good 4-hour bar. If this can start to move to the downside. So we want it down here. There's, you wouldn't really want to be entering the 4-hour bar at the low, even though it would look really, really negative. But to have a 4-hour bar up here would be fantastic. So let's see if we get triggered in, mate.
Happy days, mates. Let's see if it goes to hell in a handbasket.
That's what we want. Yeah, that's what we want. We'll be catching up. Oh, actually, I'm not in Monday, am I? Because I'm flying. I'll be back on Tuesday.
All
Don't
right,
know if
mate.
you want a day off on Monday. It's but so yeah, I'll be flying out on Monday, so I won't be in. Flying out to Singapore.
Happy days. Enjoy not the flight. Flights are shit, but
Yeah.
enjoy it when you get there and bask in the glory of dreadful humidity and heat.
Yeah. Yeah, do you know, I mean, we are roasting in the UK right now, but I'm still thankful of our climate rather than living in Asia. I absolutely adore Asia. I think it's a brilliant place, but I can't take the type of heat. You know, it's so
Same, mate. Yeah.
yeah, it's just so heavy, isn't it?
Oh, unbelievable. No
Mm.
wonder we drink.
Yeah. All right,
All
buddy.
right, let's rock and roll, shall we?
Yeah,
Have a great weekend.
you too,
And
mate.
we'll catch up with you on Tuesday, yeah?
Yep. See you Tuesday. Same trade time, same trade channel then.
Right, mate. Happy days.
See you guys.